The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's September the 9th, 2022. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined as always by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day, presented by LifeWallet, where the time is now to take charge of your personal health. And Matt, we've got another game to look forward to now. We're, I guess, about 30 hours away here from kickoff against Southern Miss at Hard Rock Stadium. The Frank Gore Jr. show about to come up, and the Miami Hurricanes will have to control that. So we have several stories on the website today, and we'll have a few more tomorrow morning talking a little bit about the game and advancing the game. But I thought that we would start today on Good Morning CaneSport and just talk about some of the elements that we think there are to look forward to at Hard Rock tomorrow, some of the keys to the game, and just what we would like to see the Miami Hurricanes get out of it. So let's start with big picture. Okay, this is the last dress rehearsal for what we know is going to be a much more difficult Saturday next week in College Station against Texas A&M. And I think that there's certain things that we need to see that are progression towards the level of play that Miami is going to be expected to play at if they are going to have a chance to beat the Aggies. And, I think it starts with passing game. I think they're going to have to, roll out a little bit more this week than they did last week. I'd like to see them hit something deep in this game just to show that they can, do it and give Texas A&M something to think about. Obviously, we want to see continued success of the running game. I'm anxious to see if Zion Nelson is going to make an appearance in this game because I think he really needs to get some playing time if he is going to be expected to help at Texas A&M. And then lastly, Matt, I think we need to see a little Jalen Knighton this week too, just to get him into a game and get him ready to go for Texas A&M as well. Your thoughts?
So I'm spending most of my time now looking at Texas A&M. I don't even know who they're playing this week, and honestly, I don't care. It doesn't matter what happens. I'm only joking slightly. I actually yesterday spent a lot of time just looking at Texas A&M in advance of their game against App State because I want to have a handle on things. Because come Saturday at 3:30, 4 p.m., nobody's going to care what happened, man. Whether the offensive line look good or bad, as long as Miami wins, and they will win. They could look ugly. They could look great. Like, I don't care, man, because I just started looking at Texas A&M a lot yesterday. And as you go through, maybe Miami's not that far off. A lot of people, seem to think, well, some people, not in Texas, but outside of Texas, seem to think Texas A&M might be a little bit overrated. And as I went through their first game, looking at some of their tape and some of the stuff, what?
No, I'm raising my hand. I think they're overrated. I'm including myself on the list.
So listen. This all has to be adjusted after the second game. But I did start to look position by position how Miami matches up with Texas A&M because that's what I do. You don't have time. Come Sunday, this is our schedule. Everyone out there, okay? Sunday we do. I do. Gary has stuff he does on the message board, etc. But I do Pro Football Focus analysis. Call some recruits. Talk to sources. Try to get a handle on things. Try to spend some time with my wife if possible. Monday comes, we got the morning, we got morning blogs, we got the press conference, we got to write those. That's a whole day. Press conferences, et cetera, write those all up. Tuesday, repeat, rinse and repeat, right? Practice availability, press conferences, still finishing up stories.
What is the point of this?
Because I'm trying to tell people this is why because people are going to complain like, why
are you 24/7, 365? Like,
why they're going to say, why are you looking at Texas A&M? They have a game this weekend. So I'm explaining why. This is why we have to have content about Texas A&M. We can't wait until Sunday to start writing it. Anyway, full speed ahead. On offense, what I found is I believe heading into this weekend that Miami has an advantage over Texas A&M at the quarterback and wide receiver / tight end positions as a group. I'm taking wide receivers, tight ends as a group, okay? Texas A&M has one pretty good receiver. That's about it. Running back, Texas A&M has a stud, okay? I'll give them a little edge there. Offensive line, I just don't believe in Miami just yet. They have to show me. So a little edge there to Texas A&M, but it's pretty even. Like Miami's offense and Texas A&M's offense, to me, it's a wash, man. I don't think Texas A&M has an edge on offense. But as I looked at the defense, I gave Texas A&M an edge at every single position on defense, every single spot, even secondary, because Texas A&M, quite frankly, has maybe one of the top 3 or 4 secondaries in the country just on paper. So that's the issue, right? So when you say, what do I want to see this weekend? All I want to see on this weekend, I'm not worried about the offense. I don't care if the offense has a few screw-ups. Like, whatever, man. We know they're fine. I want to see a defense where the front 7 dominates, because Texas A&M's opener, their star running back, this guy who's like all amazing, everything, the greatest in the world, according to people in Texas, like he had, I think, 43 yards on 17 carries or something against a school I can't
Sam Houston.
Sam Houston, against Sam Houston. So, if Miami can, and the quarterback threw 2 interceptions against mighty Sam Houston. So if Miami can be just a little disruptive up front and hold down the run game and not give up, plays there, the Miami secondary, I'm not worried about game 1 and the 4 busts they gave up. They're playmakers. Like I think they can get some interceptions. So what I really want to see this weekend, there's only one thing that I can pick. And this is for Texas A&M, not for this game in particular, but it would be to see them just dominate the offensive backfield, total domination in the offensive backfield, and then I'll feel a little better because that really is the area where Miami has the major mismatches: Texas A&M's defense versus Miami's defense.
Yeah, and I'm expecting that to happen. I think that Miami held up pretty well against the run in the opener against Bethune. This team will be a little bit better. Frank Gore Jr. is obviously a better running back, but I think Miami, with its defensive line rotation and strength up front, should be able to handle Southern Mississippi and should be able to establish themselves as a really good run defense team. So, we'll see how that plays out. I don't expect Southern Miss to test Miami very much in the passing game. No. Very, very little at all. So,
well, listen, they will line up running backs that will throw the ball. That's the weird thing. They call it super back. And the biggest problem that I have with the super back as it relates to Miami is the local media lists super back as 2 words, but when they send out their releases for Southern Miss, they list super back as 1 word, which makes it very difficult as a reporter to try and write about the super back offense that they have. I don't know if they do it on purpose to confuse us. It's very confusing. Is it 1 word? Is it 2 words? Is it a phrase? Is it a motto? Is it something that I don't know. Is it like one of those things you put on one of those, the family crest? Is it like a family crest thing, super back? I don't know. But I find it very annoying, and hopefully it doesn't annoy the Miami defense this weekend.
Well, the Southern Miss superback offense is led by Frank Gore Jr., and stopping him is unquestionably one of the keys to the game. And we identify what we think are the top 5 of these keys to the game. But I think 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are slowing down Frank Gore Jr. He's almost like a one-man team.
All 5 of your keys are stopping one guy, huh?
Well,
good thing you're not the coach.
I mean, he does everything for them. I mean, he ran 32 times in their opener for 178 yards with 2 touchdowns, and also threw 4 passes
against Liberty. I think it was Liberty, right?
But
Liberty, the definition of liberty is to set you free. So they set him free.
I understand, but everybody thinks liberty. Like they're not a pathetic team. I mean, they pulled. I can't remember who they beat last year, but they had a big upset last year.
Listen, you've gotten so used to my horrible jokes, you just totally ignore them now. You just didn't even care about the Liberty joke. I understand, and I apologize to everybody out there also that I made that joke. Gary doesn't even know what I'm talking about because he didn't even pay attention to me. I said the definition of liberty, Gary, is what? It's to set people free, and they set Frank Gore Jr. free. Yeah, you got it. Yeah, just no reaction because
I got it. I'm sorry.
That's how bad it was.
I was focusing on his stats, but anyway, yeah. So he literally is a one-man offense. Okay, and they'll put him in the Wildcat. He'll be this super back that they call, and we've got a story on that today, explaining to you guys exactly what the super back is. So you guys will enjoy that. And I don't expect it to be like that big of a deal for Miami's defense. I think Kevin Steele will have them prepared, and they will.
What do you mean have them prepared? They're not going to show much. Like, there's going to be a story that I'm going to write, okay, before the Texas A&M game about how Kevin Steele is going to be doing things totally differently than what we're seeing these first two games. So he might have them prepared to tackle better, have better fundamentals, trust your coaching. But if you think he's going to be doing some of the stuff we're going to see against Texas A&M, Gary, I
don't think it applies, though, and here's why. Because I don't think that you're going to defend Southern Miss the same way you're going to defend Texas A&M. So I think he can put a scheme together for Southern Miss without showing Texas A&M very much at all.
Well, yeah, not so fast, because remember, as I went through all my hours and hours of research and no sleep,
Matt, they feel sorry for you, right? Yeah, everybody feels sorry for you. Matt Shodell works hard, everybody.
Their number one goal should be to stop the run. And their number one goal in this game is going to be stop the run too. So how do you stop the run? You got certain personnel, you got certain packages. And it's how you do things. And you don't want to show too much of outside. You're going to have those packages and personnel. You have to. You have no choice. But you don't want to do too many of the variations inside that package that you can do against Texas A&M. That's all I'm saying.
Well, they're going to hope to hold up at the line of scrimmage without doing a whole heck of a lot.
Correct. Although this team does have an actually decent offensive line, believe it or not, they're not. Yeah. This is not a Bethune-Cookman level team.
But they're still going to hope to not have to show too much.
Yeah, they shouldn't have. They should win this game by 3+ touchdowns without even, just with a rah-rah speech from Mario Cristobal, you win by 3 touchdowns.
Okay, now the odds makers have made this a 26-point line, which I think is about right for this game. I don't see Miami, trying to run up the score here or anything like that. Listen, they're going to be looking to show as little passing game as possible. I think they're going to have to show a little bit more, but you're not going to see the entire Josh Gaddis offense unleashed on Southern Miss unless something crazy happens and it's a game in the second half.
All that line says is that the odds makers don't believe in the Miami Hurricanes defense. And maybe they're right. I will say
they're also probably thinking they're looking ahead to Texas A&M, which they are. They will be. You can't help that.
I to some extent I disagree, because I think on offense, so many of those players are hungry and angry, especially the receiver position. Keyshawn Smith has this great game, and all the reporters are saying to him at his media availability is, "You had no catches. What happened? Like, don't you wish that they'd thrown you the ball? Hey, Tyler, how come you didn't get Keyshawn the ball? Oh, well, I wish I had thrown him down the ball."
I will bet you the wrench that he gets a pass early in the game on Saturday.
Yeah, but if you don't think these guys are irked and let's prove the world wrong about our offense, they're going to be scoring points on offense in bunches. It's really, to me, that line is just basically saying the defense is going to basically be bored to death. So, and they might be. I would be bored by watching that Southern Miss offense, honestly.
But they could get caught looking ahead. That's a reasonable concern if you're an odds maker trying to put a number on this game.
I thought you bought into the Mario Cristobal culture, Gary. What happened?
I'm bought in, but they're also human beings. That game next week is everything for this program. This program has not competed in one of these games since 2017.
So Gary Ferman's motto is
5 years.
So Gary Ferman's motto is how you do everything is how you do things in 2 weeks on game day. That's your new motto.
I think the Texas A&M game is a big game for this program. It's a big game for Mario. It's a big game for the program. It's a big game for recruiting. Although I will say this, and I was surprised at this, but the Hakeem Williams to Texas A&M buzz is dissipating, and that one's now evolving as a Miami-Florida State battle. Florida State is doing something because they just have booted.
Yeah. Well, what do you think they're doing, Gary? It's so funny. Fans still believe that kids are choosing programs based on one win, based on who's recruiting them hardest. I don't know why people still believe that, but whatever.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm not doubting that the Seminole boosters have stepped up with a massive NIL deal for him. Obviously that's going to be part of the equation, but whatever it is, he's strongly considering going to Florida State, and this is going to be a serious battle here the next 2 weeks for the Hurricanes to try to beat out the Seminoles for one of the top receivers, obviously, in South Florida. But that's a subject for another time. So right now, the Southern Miss game, Matt, and I think you just want to win and you want to look solid doing so. I don't think you got to try to put 70 on the scoreboard again and go for style points or anything like that. I don't think you have to hope to play everybody on the roster this week. I think, you want to start getting these guys used to being in a game for more than 15, 20 plays. And I think they will. I think that we'll see a little tighter rotation this week on defense. And I'm expecting the Hurricanes to cover that 26-point spread. Hope I'm right.
Yeah, I mean, I hope most of what you say is correct, but there are some interesting things to watch too. And I talked about it before, but when you play two teams like this and then you go up a notch to Texas A&M on the road, it makes things very difficult. So I hope they don't sit out Zion Nelson just because they want to protect him. I hope they don't have Jalen Knighton just have like 3 or 4 carries in a couple of series, because as weird as it sounds, even if you're killing the other team, those guys haven't really done much in a real game or even in a real practice in terms of 11 on 11 and actually being tackled and having real physical combat and all that stuff in the trenches. And I think it's important that they get that before Texas A&M. I know they've done it before, and I know you can just throw Zion out there against Texas A&M and, okay, well, you haven't played since whatever last season and you haven't really practiced most of the fall. I'm not a big fan of that. So I would love, and Zion was not, in what we saw, he really wasn't getting any of the 11 on 11 reps or he was just working behind John Campbell. I didn't really see him get anything, even though he's suited up and looks like he's moving around fine. So I'm hoping that they don't sit him out this week. I think he needs to just sort of see that, hey, I'm okay. Hey, I can do this. Hey, oh yeah, I remember this now. Because you hear players talk all the time about they come off injury and they're 100% fine and they're ready to go, but they're not ready to go. They're not the same. Even Jake Garcia talked about it last week that when he came back to 100% from his injury, he realized just his movements in the pocket took forever just for him to readjust to how he
his rhythm back. Yeah,
there's like these little things that fans don't really think about.
They matter.
Yeah.
All right, so Southern Miss, 12 o'clock, Hard Rock Stadium. Hope to see a great majority of you guys out there, and the crowd was great for Bethune-Cookman. Hopefully this will be another one as the Canes build up towards the big trip to College Station next week. All right, want to talk about some other things on the website today as we're getting ready for this game. We've got a story with Keyshawn Smith. He says he hopes other teams don't start kicking away from him, Matt. Fortunately for him, his mom waited until after the big game that he had last week to plaster the internet with his youth football highlights. In case some of you guys out there haven't seen these on one of our earlier shows this week, let me cue these up real fast. It's really, really cool. The first couple are Keyshawn Smith as a punt returner. And this is him right here with the ball. And you're going to see, like, he for a little kid at the time, or like a big little kid, he looks there like maybe he was like 12, 13 years old. He had some decent skills. And I mean, look at that move right there. That's kind of similar to what we were seeing in the Bethune game last week. Great footwork, and obviously was faster than most of these kids because he wasn't having too hard a time of outrunning them. And here's a kickoff return by Keyshawn. Wait till you see this move. I mean, he's going around in circles a lot to find the lane for this march to the end zone. But oh my God, did you see little Timmy there get knocked down? Holy cow! And so Keyshawn had pretty nice. Had I shown that to you, Matt?
No, you showed it. Yeah, you showed it last show or whatever.
Oh, did I? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm being redundant. I just love the video. I think it's great, and thank you, Gloria, for putting it online. And I hope you guys have enjoyed it, even if I did play it one too many times today. But Keyshawn is hoping, obviously, to get involved as a wide receiver this week, Matt. And like I said before, I think they're going to look for him early just to get the onus off his back and all that about not catching a pass last week. And, he wants to be wide receiver 1. There's no doubt about it. So I think they'll get the ball to Keyshawn early this week.
Yeah, this is one of those games where you almost hope they show just Texas A&M a whole bunch of stuff that Texas A&M has to worry about that has nothing to do with what their actual game plan will be, So I don't know if you want Keyshawn to have 5 catches for 150 yards and 3 touchdowns, because I don't know. He could be a guy who breaks out against A&M. Personally, I think that the two key players for me, and again, I'm talking about Texas A&M because that's all I've been studying for the last 24 hours, that if I had to pick the 2 players on this team,
we'll look ahead,
offense or defense, that if Miami's going to have an upset, that I think they have to have a huge role. For me, it's do you want to take a guess first, Gary, or should I say it?
I'll
give you a hint.
I've only watched them a little bit.
I'll give you a hint. They play the same position.
No, you better just go ahead. I'm not going to guess. Go ahead. You just
obviously it's the holder for field goals, and it's it's to me it's Elijah Arroyo and Will Mallory, because the receivers aren't necessarily going to be that consistent. A&M's going to have a really good pass rush, and these tight ends have shown they could chip up like a running back almost. You could chip a block, you could chip a rusher, come out free, catch a ball, and go downfield. And that's going to, if they can do that successfully, that will slow down the rush. And if they can do that successfully and slow down the rush, Tyler Van Dyke will pick apart the defense. And that's what they need, because sometimes you got to outscore Texas A&M, especially a game like this where, like I said, Miami's defense, they had problems stopping the pass against Bethune-Cookman, So there's going to be a bust here or there. It's inevitable against a really good offense, which I think Texas A&M has. Texas A&M's offense is like Miami's offense. If Miami's offense was playing Miami's defense in a game, you'd expect Miami's offense to put up 28-plus points. I think that's a fair expectation. Like, that's how good Miami's offense is against the Miami defense if it was a real game scenario. So you probably got to score more than 28 points and to win and have an upset. And to do that, I think those 2 tight ends are going to have a huge part, not just as run blockers, but as pass catchers, as weapons, whatever you want to call them. Because I think Texas A&M is going to be focused on Xavier Restrepo, Jalen Knighton / Henry Parrish, and those tight ends will get a lot of really good matchups. That's, they don't watch this show, everybody. Believe it or not.
I'm on board.
I'm on
board with what you're saying.
Yeah, Jimbo Fisher and staff don't have everyone watching this, so I'm allowed to say what I think. This is not inside information I've heard. This is just what I think they should do.
So what are all these crazy things that you're expecting them to show them tomorrow? I mean, we already saw the Ja'Cory Brown going into quarterback for a play that never got off because they couldn't get the play off. I don't know exactly what happened, but I believe it was a false start or something. But the coaches very quickly abandoned the idea after they got the penalty and brought Ja'Cory back to the sideline. But there's obviously a Ja'Cory package, which I imagine is similar to like a Wildcat or, there's no reason you're bringing him in to just throw because you've got one of the best quarterbacks in the country out there. It's clearly to introduce the threat of the quarterback running, and then you can also mix it up and let him throw.
First of all, Texas A&M has been studying Josh Gattis' Michigan film for the last 9 months.
No doubt.
So what he did at Michigan and what he did in games 1 and 2, they're going to try to parry those up on Sunday. And all day, believe me, they're not going to sleep. From Saturday when that Miami game ends and their game ends until the team practices on Monday morning, like that, they're not going to sleep. I mean, they will have their entire staff trying to figure out what's he doing different from what we already had known about him that we learned over 9 months studying intensively versus these first 2 games. And that's why I'm saying, like, it would be nice for him to do some misdirection, like not misdirection plays, misdirection for these people who are going to be breaking down every single little motion that the players are doing. And, everything that they're doing with Xavier Restrepo, like do some stuff, you're not going to do against Texas A&M. Like that's what I would do, especially if you're up by 2 or 3 touchdowns in the first half. Just throw stuff at him, man. And like that's
like, what do you think they can throw at him? Like what? Like
that's CIA stuff.
But what's he supposed to throw at them? Like
put different person. Listen, they cross-trained at so many positions, Gary. You could put Xavier Restrepo outside at receiver if you're not going to be doing that.
They're already doing that.
No, but if you're not going to get Texas A&M, just put him out there and put Brashard in the slot. You just mess around, and then they got to match up and figure out who's going to cover who in these packages. You can do so much different stuff in such a small 2-game window to make them think that they have to be prepared for all these different eventualities. It'll take their mind off the simple aspect of this offense, which is Mario Cristobal thinks his offensive line is going to mash guys and they'll just run behind him. Like, that's the offense, bro. You don't have to study film for 9 months of Josh Gaddis. That's the offense. Mash guys up front, move the ball on the ground, and throw some passes here and there. That's the offense. I'm only slightly joking.
All right. Well,
that's what Mario would love to do. I'm not even kidding.
So we have a story on Keyshawn Smith and his special teams exploits and hoping to bust out. We have a story with Jalen Rivers, who was named the ACC Offensive Lineman of the Week. And
by the way, people are like, "Why is Jalen?" They didn't even grade out high. Miami sports information people, they can nominate a player of the week for a specific position, and they're not going to nominate 2 offensive linemen. So, they threw Jalen a bone, and guess what? He deserved it. He worked so hard to come back, and he played well. Was he the best offensive lineman on the field for game 1? I'm not sure about that one. He just certainly didn't grade out the highest according to the experts, not me, the PFF experts. But anyway, sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, you're good. So we've got that, and we've got a couple analysis stories looking at Southern Miss, primarily with this super back system that they run. So that's on the website today as well. All right, we got a few more stories to talk about, but first, let's hear from our friends at Life Wallet.
Hey sis, want to play one-on-one? What about 3-on-3? Let's do it. You're not Haley. Wait a minute.
Life Wallet user not detected.
I knew it.
Secure your health information and privacy with Life Wallet. Life Wallet. Saving time, saving lives.
The Twins are getting the whole women's basketball team into this whole social media thing now. I mean, they're making TikTok videos in the locker room. Just wild stuff. The women's sports programs at Miami will never be the same after this year with the Cavender Twins on the women's basketball team. But we'll have more on that as the season gets closer. All right, a couple other stories on the website today. Arzubi Charles, who's introduced his 100-yard walk series. You saw the 100-yard walk with Nathaniel Joseph a week ago. This week, he takes a 100-yard walk with Frankie Tinalau, the commitment from Australia, and a cool little, 100-yard little interview that they did. So that's on the website today. And we also have a story on 4-star offensive lineman Fletcher Westfall from Leesburg, Virginia, who was overwhelmed when on the first day that the Hurricanes were able to really communicate with him, he got a pile of mail from Miami coaches that filled up rooms at his high school. So we've got a story on that on the website today as well. I think you guys will like that. And know that the experience that he's having there, very many of the recruits are having. It was a strategy that was rolled out, and several of the key recruits received a ton of mail from Miami on the first day that they were allowed to be contacted. All right, well, that's going to do it for today for Good Morning CaneSport. Looking forward to the game this weekend. As always, we thank you very much for starting your day out with us. Hit your subscribe button, hit your like button, help us out with the YouTube robots and their algorithms and stuff. And don't ask me what it does. I don't know. I'm not up on exactly what it does, but I do know that if you hit subscribe and you hit like, it helps us. So we would really appreciate if you do that. I'll put the information on the screen for CaneSport.com. If you're not yet a subscriber to CaneSport.com, please take advantage of our new site special for all Miami fans. Your first year with us at the new CaneSport.com is $1. It's part of our deal in moving to the On3 network. and we really are trying to unite the whole fan base. It's going very, very well. We're growing on a daily basis, and I'm really hopeful still that we can bring the whole fan base together by the time that the Canes beat Texas A&M next week, and everybody will be euphoric, and we'll all have a lot of fun together. So for Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Ferman. We thank you so much for joining us this morning on Good Morning CaneSport. We'll see you at the stadium tomorrow. We'll see you on the post-game show after the game, and then we will see you back here Monday morning on Good Morning CaneSport. Have a great day, everybody.